Never before have we seen such a blunder from a modern economy. The United Kingdom has done a complete 180-degree turn, going from the largest tax cuts in 40 years to the largest tax increases in the last 70. Unbelievable. You cannot make this stuff up. It's like straight out of a soap opera. Now, let's get into what's happening today. You guys want to take a look at some of the stuff, we got some articles for you today. Man, it is going to blow your mind. The new finance minister of the United Kingdom, he is doing this abrupt reversal. Let's check out some of these articles, you guys. You can go check it out with me if you want to go to the New York Times. Jeremy Hunt, he's the new finance minister, and he has dropped almost all of the new prime minister Liz Truss's planned cuts. And so this is really, really bad for her party. It says that under relentless pressure from financial markets, Britain's new chancellor, that's the finance minister, swept away the free market economic agenda of Prime Minister Liz Truss. Now, we got to remember, Liz Truss is taking all of her notes from people of history. The Iron Lady of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher, or if we could think about Ronald Reagan in the United Kingdom, that type of free market capitalism. That's what she wanted to do, and she was going to do that by reducing taxes everywhere. What happened 2 weeks ago was that the entire stock market went bananas, crashing, and a lot of margin calls were coming out on the pension funds. It almost bankrupted the entire country. So the governments had to step in and print 40 billion pounds just in order to save the markets. And they are doing everything that they could to try to reverse this. So new prime minister came in. She tried to do tax cuts. The entire market and unrelenting pressure almost collapsed everything. So they've had to do an about face and go back on all of their policies. Let's continue some of the policies that they are doing. This is Liz Truss may not even be keeping her job anymore, which is kind of crazy that they are reversing virtually all of the government's planned tax cuts. And this turmoil is going to continue. If we go to the Reuters article, the United Kingdom says UK's Hunt says he'll raise 32 billion pounds more in tax. He wants to raise taxes instead of lowering taxes. So British Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt wanted to quell the bond market, according to this Reuters article, listed on Monday, and he wants to raise 32 billion pounds or 36 million US. So he wants to scale back the energy price cap scheme. This is important for you guys to understand. So because the cost of energy was going to the moon, they were going to put price caps on it. Listen, we have done this in the past many times. Maybe somebody 30 years old has never seen price caps on things before. Cost controls. This has happened before in history, and it has always ended in a disaster. So him cutting it, I'm not really surprised that they did that. Let's go on to some of his other articles, other things he's doing. An indefinite suspension of a plan to cut the basic rate of income tax. So that is a big one. That is a very, very big one. They wanted to reduce the tax rates several places. So they wanted to make the tax rates from 45% and lower it down to make people have more money in their pocket. This now has been shelved. It's gone. They wanted to change the tax rate on corporations from 25% down to 19%. They now have thrown that out the window. They need more money. So he has done those two things, and it's going to continue. They said they will not go ahead including a cut in dividends tax. So that's when you have a stock and you have that little bit of thank you extra bonus money every year in dividends. They're getting rid of that. And they said together the decision not to cut the corporate tax, restore the top rate of income tax is going to continue. Wow, wow, wow. So not in history, not in any of our memory can we remember a time where a top G7 country will have done a complete about face. This may be some of the shortest prime ministers that we've ever seen because her job is definitely in peril now. I've never seen that, but it is like a stroke of magic for them to get back and not let this government go down. Remember 2 weeks ago when she announced these cuts coming, the market went crazy. And this is very significant for people in the United States, for Canada. Number one, do you think we are not too juvenile to believe that if United Kingdom goes down, that we will be unaffected? What happens in London stays in London. Listen, the most powerful financial city in the world is New York, and the second most powerful is London. New York has been important for like 100 years. London has been important for like 2,000 years, okay? Very, very, very important city. Now, we have to pay attention to that when something happens there. Now, the fact that they buckled under the pressure of the stock markets and they buckled under that pressure. Listen, I believe a lot of governments can take notes from this, and I think that a lot of places will respond to that level of pressure as well. Now, when we see Canada and the United States raising interest rates like crazy, the stock market is capitulating, it's going down a lot, but we haven't seen that real pain in the market. When there is fear of collapse, like the United Kingdom had just within the last 2 weeks, then things really, really change. And I really think that we're going to be in an inflationary time for the foreseeable future. Now, let's look at the problem that they were fighting and what happened today. We're going to take a look at a couple notes. So, in the United Kingdom, they call them gilts. It's kind of like a treasury, if you want to think of it that way. You can go to marketwatch.com to check that out. Today's rate is at 3.974 currently. Now, if you note just below that, it dropped just under 0.5%. 0.5%. Now, most people are going to laugh at that and go, David, 0.5% means nothing to me. But listen, when you're talking about 10-year treasury notes, that is massive, massive, massive. Remember, a 1% change is what happened when those tax cuts came up, and it almost bankrupted the entire system because they got margin called. So if we look at the 5-day chart of the 10-year gilt, we can see that it was dropping. It spiked back up on Friday because they didn't know if they would have to continue printing 10 billion pounds a day. And then you saw today it dropped 0.5%. Massive relief on the pressure on the pension funds and for their margin calls. Massive, massive, massive. But if you go back and change it to 1 month, we can then start to see where the problems all originated from. You will see on the 23rd of September, it was sitting at 3.8%. And when they came out with that mini budget to do those cuts, it skyrocketed all the way to 4.5%, which is what almost bankrupted all the markets. Because remember, today, there's a lot of derivatives and a lot of leverage. But if we go back and look right now, it had climbed all the way back to 4.38%, even with all that money printing. And today, a little bit of relief, a little bit of magic as it dropped 0.5% and relieved the pressure off of the defaults, off of the pension plans. Unbelievable that this actually happened. I cannot even believe it. So if we continue on, you guys, down this path, we're going to see more and more of this stuff happening in the future. We are going to continue to see governments falling under pressure from the markets. Number two, we're going to continue to see massive money printing from a lot of different governments. And number three, we're most likely going to be entering a period where we're going to have higher rates for longer and high inflation. So don't get confused about all of those videos that you see about stagflation, inflation, disinflation, deflation. We're going to do another video on that just to go through those different terms, just so that you can understand it a little better. Remember, they're always trying to change the definitions on them, so sometimes it gets confusing, but there are ways for you to beat all of these situations. We have to be able to outrun inflation. Together, we're going to be doing that. Thanks so much for following me, guys. Thanks for being fans. And please remember to like and subscribe to this. Maybe tell a friend. We're always there to try and help you out. Wish you the very best. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like that video, you might like this one and maybe something like that.